One Zambia, One Nation. Thank you so much for joining us on the news desk with me, Amos Zulu. Let's go straight to the top stories. Stakeholders optimistic ahead of Pali new session. Milenge farmers encouraged to venture into organic farming. Release of grants elates teacher union. And in our sports news, dilapidated Kaole Stadium in Mansa hinders sports development. And now the details. Expectations are high among stakeholders as President Hakainde Hichilema officially opens the second session of the 13th National Assembly Friday, September 9, 2022. Mutalekani caught up with some stakeholders and now reports.
President Hakainde Hichilema is tomorrow, Friday, September 9, 2022, expected to officially open the second session of the 13th National Assembly. Anticipation is high among stakeholders as they eagerly await the head of state's address. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a modest number of officials and dignitaries will be expected to be in attendance, while the majority of stakeholders and diplomats will follow the proceedings remotely. The church expects the president to address issues pertaining to morals and national values.
The president, as he addresses Parliament, he will need to make sure that these values are communicated effectively to the leaders sitting in Parliament. That's the second thing I would say about national values, apart from the moral values. The moral values are important, they help us day by day, but the values guide us as a nation to where we are going, to the vision that is before us.
And the Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACORD, wants the Public Order Act to be amended in the forthcoming sitting of the National Assembly.
We are expectant and hopeful that the Public Order Bill, that the Minister of Home Affairs and the Zambia Law Development Commission will be brought before the House. We expect to see sober debate, sober discussions, and ultimately we expect to see the piece of legislation being passed into law. We have been on the path of reform as regards the Public Order Act for a very long time. It is archaic, it is colonial, it is in dire need of reform. The job that has been done so far by the Zambia Law Development Commission and the Ministry of Home Affairs by way of being inclusive to different stakeholders is commendable. The product is a marked improvement if you measure it by international standards.
The first session of the 13th National Assembly adjourned its sitting on July 29, 2022. Mtalekani for Zanis News in Lusaka.
Thank you, Mtale, for that report. Still in Lusaka, government has continued engaging various interest groups on the $1.3 billion United States dollars International Monetary Fund (IMF) extended credit facility program to Zambia. The Ministry of Finance and National Planning has hosted stakeholders from the business community who shared their views on the matter. Join Michelle Luwinda with the following report.
As the country starts the implementation of the International Monetary Fund IMF-approved debt restructuring program, the private sector is elated that the country has already started registering positive economic growth. The government has also continued interacting with different stakeholders to share ideas on how best to make the program workable and beneficial to the common Zambian. Speaking during the interaction program in Lusaka today, stakeholders are happy that the agreement has already started sending positive sentiments into the country's economy.
We have seen that the exchange rate has continued to appreciate. I think right now we're about 15.5%. I think that is a good thing. So for the common man, what we're saying as bankers is that now is the time for you to start your own businesses, your own to look at to say how do we take full advantage of what's happening in the region. Zambia is one of the Zambian kwacha is one of the currencies that is doing really, really well compared to any other currency in the region.
First of the many IMF deals to follow is here. The fiscal and technical evolution vis-a-vis the impact on various social and economic sectors will be realized, and we remain confident
that there is no such a thing as an IMF program. It's an IMF supported program. It's a homegrown program. And if you are still in doubt, you realize that we've been trying to get this program on the table in the last 5, 6, 7 years. We failed to craft a program that is sufficiently bankable.
And the IMF has pledged to continue supporting Zambia in its quest to achieve full economic recovery.
On the fund side, we will continue to provide technical assistance and capacity building for the authorities' reform program. The first review of the fund supported program will be in 6 months' time, and we look forward to continue working closely with the government to ensure successful implementation of the
government has stressed that it will use the IMF support program to resuscitate and repair the country's economy to acceptable standards that will promote inclusive, sustainable development.
We are doing everything possible to make the economy to grow bigger, and for the bigger economy, the structured debt which will be less, then you should be able to service both the new and the old debt. So that's the basic principle. This is why, hand in hand with this, you've heard us talking about the fact that we'll do everything possible to encourage investment in the country so that the economy does what? It grows. Because a bigger economy will be able to service the old debt that remains after restructuring, to be able to service the concessional loans that we are getting from the IMF, the World Bank.
Following the increased debt that the country accrued in the recent past, the government engaged the IMF for a 3-year debt restructuring program, which was approved last week. Michelo Lubinda for Zanis in Lusaka.
And on a sad note from Eastern Province, 2 babies on oxygen therapy have died at Lundazi District Hospital after a power disruption that plunged the whole district into a blackout. Lundazi District Health Director Devi Zulu says the 2 babies aged below 12 months under the intensive care unit died due to the continuous power outage experienced in the district. Loas Mutafela has the rest of the story.
Lundazi District in Eastern Province has been experiencing critical power outage for some time now. The district, which gets power from the neighboring Malawi, has faced serious power outage this week. As a result of the power blackout, the district hospital has recorded deaths of 2 babies who were on oxygen therapy.
Children were in a critical condition and we were unable to transport them to Chipata because of that critical condition. And immediately power went, their condition started deteriorating. So that is the effect that I was talking about. It is a real effect that is affecting the community. We need to do something about it immediately.
Operation at the district hospital theatre has also been affected.
We operate on a daily basis. We do operations ranging from emergency laparotomies to emergency cesarean sections and elective cases. So in the instance where we have been experiencing this electric power supply, we've been depending on a small genset to support us with theatre. Now that also requires us to use fuel. So when power comes, because power comes and goes within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, comes, goes. If you're on a big operation, that really interrupts the way you're going to do the operation. Sometimes you can even lose the patient because for you to start moving around and turning the genset on, that time that is lost can end up compromising on someone's life.
Other than the hospital, the business community has also been hit hard by the blackout. Reporting for Zanis in Lundazi District, I'm Luvasi Mtafela.
We continue with the news. Milenge District Food and Nutrition Officer Kefas Zulu has encouraged farmers in the area to venture into organic farming. Mr. Zulu explains that using organic fertilizers such as animal manure and compost is a safer environment preservation in comparison to synthetic fertilizers. Here are the details.
Agriculture is the major source of livelihood, especially for people in rural areas. However, unsustainable farming methods such as shifting cultivation are contributing to environmental degradation in the country. According to the 2021 International Institute for Environment and Development Research, expansion of cropland into forests by smallholder farmers represents 60% of the estimated 250,000 hectares of forest cover lost per year in Zambia. To mitigate this challenge, some farmers in Milenge district have adopted organic farming.
Ilele ngomushiru kulaba fetayo so ichina chituafwa kukana kukafiria chali kunuma kufaya pa kulima so tule monokuti apo mufundo letu walilila ifitule bomfyo yumufundo tukatwalililo kulalima apa pene pantu chikankala sana kusunge mpanga ukuchila kula bomfyo mifundo ingona ulo mushiri
fetraza amashopsi yakushita ila lombenda la meshingi pa tushite so fyali pusani na fyo kutari sana manyowa ya ng'ombe kutuwa bomba kwa bolo kuposa penda la meshiri shonse na garden ya tunguluka.
Milenge District Food and Nutrition Officer underscores the benefits of organic agriculture.
Organic farming is a way to go. It's a way to go to minimize the cost of production and also to safeguard our own health and also to safeguard the health of our soils. It helps also the aspect of maintain the ecosystem where the living component of the ecosystem is preserved because it has not been eliminated by certain synthetic chemicals or even the fertilizers.
Linda Mupemo, Zanis, Milenge District, Lopula Province.
In a related development, residents of Nkema district in Western Province have been cautioned against the continued indiscriminate cutting of trees in their locality. Nkema District Commissioner Ellis Mukubesa says the continuous indiscriminate cutting of trees for tobacco farming is worrying. The DC has further implored the Japanese Tobacco International to help sensitize farmers on the new ways of conserving the environment in the wake of climate change.
Nkema District Commissioner Ellis Mukubesa has called on tobacco farmers to plant trees and avoid indiscriminate cutting of trees in the area. Mr. Mukubesa has also implored the Japanese Tobacco International to encourage farmers to plant more trees.
At the government, we are encouraging our farmers to use other methods of planting trees and new methods of growing tobacco instead of cutting trees, but they are supposed to use another method which is very, very important to protect our environment.
And Joyce Monde, a teacher at Munkuye Primary School, said the welfare of our Mother Earth should be protected.
We are talking about deforestation because in our area, the farmers grow tobacco, of which they use a lot of wood to have their tobacco done. So we are encouraging our farmers to replant trees. We are looking at the welfare of our common home, which is Mother Earth. We need to protect it because it's from these trees that we get oxygen. And moreover, we still get a lot of raw materials from these trees, of which if we do not plant but only cut, will cause deforestation, and at the end of the day, our town, our district will be a desert.
Meanwhile, Enoch Nyambe complained that the business of charcoal burning has greatly affected the rain patterns in the district.
Ninsusweza sichababu ngate babona kuli lunawa sule kupanga business ya malasha. Malasha asinya hulu mishitu. Kakuli amukatalimela pula ono ibona kuseiza mainge ichincha minelelo. Kakuli pula ikona kuba hulu kabungata kwale ko kuna nilikota. Hai balikota sauna libona kufasi bakasauna bali babalela hande ni pula ikaba engata. Chwe hai balufeza likota chwana kawofela kuirubya kwa malasha. Kipeto mafelezo ko libire kafalu kabula abana baluna kakuli pula ikapto kwa kunela muliso nela kunelela.
Darlington Kabambe reporting in Kayama District, Western Province.
We now take you to the Copperbelt Province, where the region has recorded an overwhelming number of pupil enrollments in various schools since the reintroduction of the free education policy. Provincial Education Standards Officer Patrick Kaonga says the region has recorded an enrollment of over 40,000 new entrants in various learning facilities. Take a look.
A long chat with Sister Mary Kalobwe from Beth and Sisters. Our conversation is, however, not from a convent, but Chankute Primary School, where she's been deployed. She's already on the payroll, but hers is a special case. Her salary will be channeled to the vulnerable in society.
For me, it's a plus, and with the congregation, they are so happy. And I would also like to say, I think the government did it at a point where a lot of teachers were waiting for this. You just have to work hard, extra hard. If I don't know, I'm encouraged to ask from the teachers who are already here, but I also have to contribute what I know. The congregation, they are very much happy, and they are always there for me.
In one of the classrooms, a home management lesson is in full session by Chadi Ziambo, who is also one of the newly deployed teachers. Her class, like others, is not congested because of the new sessions that have been introduced by school management due to the availability of the new teachers.
I would expect the best. I'll try by all means to do the best, but it won't only end here. It will continue to other schools where I'll be posted to. The newly recruited teachers, that they should also do their best in their services, because this is what we have been looking forward to for a long time.
Head teacher Nje Kwanje Kwa is happy Chankute Primary School has had a fair share of the over 30,000 teachers recently recruited by government.
It has made our work very, very easy in that, firstly, the teacher-pupil ratio that was very high is being closed up slowly. Secondly, we used to have the issue of double class in schools, where one teacher would handle more than one class. Of course, Frank, so with the newly recruited teachers on board, we have introduced sessions.
Education authorities on the Copperbelt have revealed over 40,000 pupils have been absorbed in schools as a result of the reintroduction of the free education policy by government. And the newly recruited teachers are expected to reduce the teacher-pupil ratio that would have been there had they not been employed.
From the time that we had a major policy shift to free education, Copperbelt alone has witnessed more than 40,000 new entrants who have come into our school system.
Frank Chingambu reporting from Masaiti District. Zanis News.
Still in education news, government has released grants to all schools in the country for the third quarter of 2022 as operational support. Appreciating the gesture, Basic Teachers Union of Zambia, Betu's Mchinga Province General Secretary Henry Sinkala says the grants will further help to improve learning conditions in the education facilities.
The Basic Teachers Union of Zambia, Betu's, in Mchinga Province has held a successful third quadrennial conference that has ushered in a new executive committee. Mchinga Provincial Education Officer Felix Ngoma graced the elective conference held at Northern Rock Hotel in Mpika.
As a union, appreciate the good efforts of government, but at the same time, if you are a union with your sort, in an appropriate manner, you should also be able to say, here things are not all right.
Betu's General Secretary Henry Sinkala has commended the government for the timely release of grants to all public schools for the third quarter of 2022.
Third quarter was done some 3-4 weeks ago, meaning that indeed the new Dawn government is walking the talk of free education, because free education without being financed is not free education.
Betu's General Secretary Henry Sinkala delivered a good message to the union members.
We have come up with something for all those who will retire this month and going forward, as long as they are members. as their members and verification of the membership is established by you, our leaders here, for each year that one saved as a Betuls member, he shall be rewarded with a 500 kwacha.
Jonathan reporting for Zanis News in Impika, Muchinga Province.
The news continues. Now, 20 boreholes have been drilled in Choma district in Southern Province under the Phase 2 of the Scaling Up Nutrition Santu project, the project being implemented with support from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, is aimed at increasing access to clean and safe water. Runia Sakala now reports.
Waterborne diseases such as diarrhea are among the causes of poor growth in children below the age of 2. To prevent such and ultimately reduce poor growth levels, government with support from its cooperating partners has drilled 20 boreholes in Choma under the Scaling Up Nutrition program. 30 boreholes which were previously non-functional have also been rehabilitated.
This is a project that has given us an opportunity to have a number of water points constructed and rehabilitated in a long time, because mostly like before we could drill, but it would be maybe just 2 boreholes per year, 3, 4. So the allocation that we're given, we are done with everything. And then there are also activities where we engage some local people that are going to be trained as repairs. We actually call them area pump menders. So these are the ones that will be helping out in terms of repair works that will be needed in each particular locality. Then the other activity that we'll be able to do under this same project is training of latrine builders. We promote community-led total sanitation at household level.
The Choma District Nutrition Coordinating Committee has monitored the sites and is impressed with the works.
So we are excited. The job itself is quite good. They have done a very good job. For us, we just have to lobby for more. To the beneficiaries, the only word is for them to strengthen the committees that are in charge of the boreholes, because every project has a lifespan, and when they leave our funders, we want these boreholes to remain working.
For the beneficiaries, access to clean and safe drinking water has reduced waterborne diseases. Due to lack of water, we used to experience a lot of waterborne diseases, but not anymore. This borehole has helped us prevent diseases such as COVID-19. Even the school has benefited.
We are grateful for this borehole. We had no water here in Namuswa.
Runia Sakala, Zanis, Choma.
Also in the news, the ongoing census of population and housing and enumeration activities are being disrupted by the presence of wild animals in some parts of Itezitezi district in Southern Province. The settlements near the Namwala and Nkala game management areas in Kaingu and Shezongo chiefdoms are the most affected by wild animals. Memory Mugoba, a census supervisor stationed in Chief Kaingu's chiefdom, says the activities were frequently disrupted due to the presence of elephants roaming near the Kila and Kaingu lodges. Another enumerator, Stanford Siamatimba, who is stationed at Kachinga Primary School, says the presence of lions is a major challenge in that part of the district. He explains that while the animals are roaming, no enumerator or villager attempts to move for fear of being attacked. Last week, 2 people survived a hippo attack on the Kafue River, with one sustaining a leg injury. The National Census of Population and Housing began on August 18th and is expected to end on September 14th, 2022, with 189 enumerators trained and deployed in all 15 wards of Itezitezi district. And in Sama District, Town Council Secretary Peter Sati says the local authority plans to rehabilitate and transform the old civic center into a guest house in order to boost revenue collection. Mr. Sati says this will also cushion lodging challenges that the district has been faced with for a long time. The council secretary has also disclosed that the council is also rehabilitating a staff house in Nsumbu area, which was earlier used as a sub-office, saying this will allow the local authority to have representation from all departments.
We started the rehabilitation of the staff house.
we've realized that in Sumbu, where we've got a lot of activities and a lot of businesses, there is no representation of the council. So what we are doing is we've identified one of the odd houses which we renovated at the cost of 167,000, so that this house will be turned into a sub office, and we are going to have nearly all the departments represented in Sumbu. Starting with finance, we don't want our people to be moving to come and pay for houses for a distance of 110. No. So the people from Sumbu very soon privilege. I think we should be opening the office within 2 or 3 weeks. We've got budgeted for the rehabilitation of the old civic center. We want to turn it into a guest house. Yeah, we've got challenges of rest houses in Sama Central in particular.
In other news, Gender Division Permanent Secretary Mahinga Kabika has called for stakeholder partnerships in addressing issues that hinder efforts made towards ending early marriages in Zambia. Ms. Kabika has, however, assured that government will continue working with chiefdoms in addressing issues relating to early marriages and gender-based violence, GBV. Pethias Mutale has the details.
Over the last 2 decades, early marriages in Zambia declined significantly from 58 to 30%. However, this rate is still very high. The reasons for the decline but continuing practice of early marriage, despite existing legislation prohibiting child marriage, are not very well understood. Very few studies have been conducted to find out what and how local factors influence decisions about early marriage in rural Zambia.
Alokafo na chomba bulezi babamu bako na kufumana sesimu kama lobolo kapamane yeye namuna yale wako na kumuta mwamu kwaoni wale.
In their minds they could get something out of the bride price, or that man could take care of that child.
Indunas of the Mwandi Royal establishment blames human rights, saying parents are no longer punishing their children for fear of being arrested.
Milonga yeye yauna aisi na mata kajoki onakona kuna sibo sona kala kuwanta kinga basi na mata watu bakacheni.
What we should start from is why do these people, why do they not have enough powers to exclude their children?
Eventually, I would have put a check on law.
Now when you come to jail,
no, never
Gender Division Permanent Secretary has assured that government will continue to work with chiefdoms in eliminating early child marriages and GBV.
Kona kuli automatically, mina the chiefdom, you automatically part of the office of the president.
More information is therefore needed on underlying reasons for the persistence of early marriage in Zambia, so that program managers can use this information to design strategies to decrease early marriages. Pethias Mutale for Zanis News in Mwandi, Western Province.
In our sports segment, National Council for Construction NCC Board Chairperson Vitalis Moya has expressed disappointment over the slow progress made with the rehabilitation and upgrade of the Kaole Stadium in Mansa District, Luapula Province. Chipili Makasa has the details.
Works for the rehabilitation and upgrading of Kaole Stadium in Mansa District have acted National Council for Construction Board Chairperson Vitalis Moya. Mr. Moya, who toured the construction site of the stadium in Mansa, has however disclosed that the matter surrounding the works of the stadium is a policy issue which will be reported to responsible staff.
Otherwise, if this was my project, personal project, I would have fired them all. The contractors, the consultant, out. I'm shocked to find that they were supposed to hand over in June, finish. And it's 2 more, they're saying December, they want to. I can't see it. Even next year, I don't see them finishing. But anyway, like I pointed out, is some of these issues are policy issues. We have challenges here. Let's go back and report to our superiors, our minister. Most of them are policy issues. You can see FIFA is involved. FAS is involved. So we report to our superiors.
And NCC Executive Director, Enes Shindano, has called on the contractor to expedite the works for the stadium.
And therefore the contractor needs to expedite for them to be able to complete the works on the new schedule. But I think they need more supervision, so we need the consultant, I think, to be on top of things, and also the client, to ensure that the client meets the obligation in terms of cash flow.
Meanwhile, FAR's Executive Committee Luapula Province Chairperson Mwemba Mujala says the lack of proper machinery has contributed to the delay in the completion of works.
Our geographical locations of Luapula, I think it is disadvantaging us a lot, because according to the contractors, they failed to find the needed machinery, unlike our friends in Solwezi where there are PAF mines. Here it has been difficult to find the right machinery to use.
In June 2022, when Luapula Province Minister Derek Chilundika visited the construction site for the stadium, Port and Mining Limited site supervisor Marvin Chonya disclosed that so far 70% of works had been done. Chipiri Makasa, Zanis, Mansa District.
That story item by Chipili Makasa brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a reminder of the top stories. Stakeholders optimistic ahead of Pali news session. Milenge farmers encouraged to venture into organic farming. Release of grants elates teacher union. Plus, dilapidated Kawole Stadium in Mansa hinders sports development. That's all we had on the news. Remember to visit our website, zanis.com.zm, for more stories. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Amos Zulu. Remember, we are one Zambia, one nation.